a webinar today on drawn styles. So I'm going to use this model, which is a model I've created for an actual live project. It has not gone out for fabrication yet, so it's in the approval stages. So we can see we have some concrete elements, which this is a 3D solid. This here is a 3D solid. This here you can see is a plate. So I've created this with a plate, and I have also created this with a plate. So this wall and this foundation are plates. This is a 3D solid. This is a, what is this? This is a 3D solid also. So now I haven't used any concrete. I don't use concrete. I probably should use concrete. So, but these ways of doing things will be, it can be applied to anything with a model roll or any of these elements. So you can see there's a lot of Biodives in here. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, we'll make sure that our UCS, I'm going to use this a 3D view for my drawing style, because I'm not going to get into dimensions, we won't have time. So I'm just going to, also I don't have a full handle on dimensions myself yet. So this, first of all, we're going to set the view. Sorry, this is my palettes, which are over here on the side. So we're going to view, so we want to look in this way. So you're going to select this, the UCS view. This is the way we want to look at this. And we're going to select this. We're going to modify it so we can name the drawing style. Sorry. So I'm just going to name it E10. And prototype, it's on my prototype. Okay. Now I haven't changed the scale in there. So the scale was, I believe, in that box, whatever it is, in the drawing style, which I think was 3/4, is the one, which is rather large for a 3D view. It should be down like an 8 or a 1/4 or 1/16, depending on what size your model is. So this is just generating here. As you can see, there's a lot of Biodives, so there's a lot of elements, a lot of weld symbols. And in turn, the drawing style we picked is one with labels, so there's going to be a lot of labels. Sorry, I do that sometimes. I click OK instead of Open. Right, so we're going to get into our drawing here, and it'll take a little bit of time because it's not a huge model by any means, but as you can see, there's a lot of labels. So what we're going to do is, we obviously don't need every element labeled, so to understand this a little better, you can see if we zoom in, let's zoom in near a beam. Alright, so here you can see this is a beam label, which is smaller than these labels. So chances are, if you've modeled correctly, this small label is for this main part, and these are for just beams. So these are main part beams, and this is just beam, so any attached beam. So we won't want any labels for any attached, any single part beams. So what you can do is, you know, before I learned how to do this myself, sometimes the green box doesn't come up, so go in this way, and we'll go to 1/8 is the 1. This will resize this for us. Now it'll take a second to resize also, because it's going to try and squeeze all these labels into an even smaller drawing. So realistically, you're not going to go through this and delete all these, select the ones you want to delete. You're probably just going to select them all, delete them all, and then re-enter the ones for the beams on the outside, which takes time, you know. And this is the way I did it when I didn't understand it a little better. So if I select that, and then you select similar, and then deselect the title and then delete. I can delete all those. And now I'm going to move this over here onto the page. Now you might wonder why sometimes I'll drag this, but you can see sometimes in advanced steel that green box does not come up. There it is now. So just to bypass that, you can click on an element and do either advanced view properties or advanced detail properties. So here we have it. So you can see also here, we can't see the lines for this column. We can see the lines for this. That's because I've created a hole in the concrete here for this column. This one is clashing with the concrete, so advanced steel doesn't know where to start or end these lines, so it just doesn't put them in. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new drawing style. So we're going to go not to the document manager, we're going to go to your drawing styles. We're going to go to the model view with labels. So what we're going to do is edit the one that we just used here. So what we're going to do is copy this and we're going to name this, we can name it anything, so I'll name it AAA and I'll leave the label 1 and get rid of the 1. Alright, so you just need to rename it, so you don't want to edit the other one. So every level we go to now, we need to, so we're already here, we've created a new one, so we want to click down here and we can see here, here's the name. So if we go in and edit this, it could possibly affect other drawings, so you want to create a new one. Now at the very top here, you don't want to do a deep copy, just do a copy. If you do deep copy, it's going to copy every element inside that drawing. So it's going to create a lot of copies, which takes up a lot of space. So we're just going to name this again AAA to match. And now we can see here the view direction of model box is UCS. So if we go inside, we can see the view is from the positive UCS and the Z orientation on the UCS plane. So it's picking everything in the model and it's looking in the positive direction of the Z axis and it's taking all the XY plane. Well, I don't want that. So what I want to do is I want to have this as a select. I want to select the viewport and I also want to select the elements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, sorry, not into this one. We either need to create a new one or we need to go in here and we can do UCS with XY selection. So the view is going to be in the UCS and then we're going to get the selector box, the pick box. So I've made that change, so I want to apply that change. Now I didn't have to create my own one, I can use the current one. Just don't make sure if I change something inside here, now it's going to change this. If I want to change these, I should create a new one. But I don't need to right now. These you probably shouldn't need to change. I have some in here, you can see I have created some up here with typical forward and backwards model box sizes. Like if you could see here, I have the front is 12 foot and the rear is 5 feet. You can set that here. So let's go back. So we're going to go back here. So that's good. So we want to go to view properties. I don't want it to be 3/4 is the 1. I want it to be 1/8 is the 1. So the scale is fixed. The process can override. I'll leave it as fixed. And that's good. Clipping. We don't have any clipping, so the clipping is turned off. The compass. We can show the compass. We can show arrows. We can show symbols. And the compass is going to be on the upper left, which is good. and that's just a category it's assigned to. So that's good. So we'll apply again. And if I go back to the top here, sorry, we'll go back to the detail view. Let's change this to isometric. And let's underline it. We'll also change this again later. And this is below the detail. Cut view title, that's okay. And here's your model object selection. I don't want the complete model with the XREFs. I just want to do selection set. Now I've already created my own drawing style here, so I can change this. It's just going to be changed in this one. So that's good. So apply again. So right now we're set up a little better already, but what we need to do is we need to go back into our object presentation. So you can see our tree here. There's a view direction, object presentation, view dimensions, and you'll have the same thing here, view direction, objects. So it's the same tree, it's just in a different place. So what I was saying earlier was, if we cancel out this, let's see if we can use this. We may be able to use this. No. So I've changed the selection set so they don't match. So what we're going to do is we'll delete this and we'll go back to our model and we'll open up our drawing style again and we'll use this. And now it's asking me to identify. So basically I've used the same one, I've just altered it a little bit, but now it's asking me to pick what I want to have inside the box. And then right click and then modify the sentence. I want to put it on existing drawing. Go back here, you can see the scale is, it's taken from what I just changed to. Go back to existing drawing here. Okay. And now select your pick box. So now this should come in at the right scale and the title will be changed and will be in our new drawing style and we can edit it as we need. Now I didn't change any of the labels, so this is again going to take a little bit longer than usual because it's going to be trying to squeeze in all these labels for each of these elements in the Biodives. So this, I guess, 2,882 objects. So while we wait for this, we'll just kind of go through. The plan is I'm going to turn off some of these labels. So let's do OK to this. And just give it a second. Alright, let's just regenerate. So now you can see the mess we have here. So there's a lot of labels. So what we want to do now is we want to get rid of some of these labels. So what I'm going to do is go into the drawing style that I've just created, go into the object presentation. You can come down. So I have main parts. So this main parts, if you double click and click here on the top model objects, it'll show you its main parts, all model roles. So that's all my columns, all my beams, all my handrails, anything that's a main part, no matter what the model role is. So this we will probably change. Beams, this is what's controlling. So you can see here how we looked earlier. The main part was 1/16 and the other parts were 1/8. So they're just the regular beams. Sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this label. So it's pretty simple when you get to understand it a little better. So basically I'm just turning off this label. So I'm going to apply, use. So anything that's not a main part, beam or handrail or whatever, is going to get the label removed. So this should clean up quite a bit straight away. As you can see, I I have not numbered these Biodives because they're just in for visual purposes. The Biodives company is doing Biodives drones. So it'll take a second to go through, and now you see it's already cleaned up quite a bit. So this is what I get now from my output. So every time I update it from now on, you're going to see what we get from our output. So this is just AutoCAD lines. We can delete them, they'll go straight away. So, alright, so now we see we have plates, right? So I don't want plates labeled in this either. So let's go back in. And let's go to plates. So I have plates is here. I want to take off the label off the plates. So now you can either go in here, which is what I like to do, or you can just click over here, and here's your plates. The presentation rule is visible, so your plates are visible. Just what's visible is shown, not what's hidden. And then you can go in here to change your label. So here's my label. Go to Others, go to Off, Apply, and Use. And now once we click on that, all these labels should disappear for the plates. And we should be getting pretty much cleaned up. So it'll just have the columns and the beams, the main parts. So let's see. Alright, so we're already getting cleaned up here. So now let's just say we want to turn off some elements here without having to not select them at the start. So we want to just be able to select everything and then be able to control it afterwards. So these bar joists, I want to turn off these bar joists. I don't need these on the drawing. These are fine to have in the plan. I mean, maybe one 3D view with these in just for visual purposes. But if they want it as an erection set with the labels for the beams, it gets a little cluttered. So go back into the drawing style and joist. So we see already in this object presentation, which as you can see I have not copied. So that's a mistake which I guess I shouldn't have made, and I didn't plan to make, but I guess it's good that I did make it. So I haven't gone any further. So what I'm going to do is, it doesn't really matter that I've changed these for me, because this was my own drawing style anyway. But these changes I shouldn't have made until I copied this. So we need to copy this. So I guess that's a good way to learn. That's not what to do. So that should be copied at the start. Now we have a new object presentation. Now we can edit it. So I've already edited it. So I know what I've taken out the labels for the plates and the beams. It's actually, I'm not using this in another drawing either, so it should be fine. So from here on, I'll try and get it right. So if we go to this, if we want to turn off the joist, we can see the joist is shown as visible. So if we turn this to off, if we turn this to off and apply and use, if we haven't gone in to see what that joist model objects entails, so let's see what happens here. So by right, I know what's in it already. We should have went in and had a look at it and edited it first, but I just wanted to show you. So you can see that one side of the bar joist has disappeared. Now you might also wonder why there's just a block here. I just have these in at the correct height. I don't have, obviously these have angles on them, which Advanced Steel doesn't have included in the macro. So this has just deleted the top chord. So let's go back in. And we can see main part joist. So click on this. Let's go up to the model objects. Main part beam joist top chord. So it's just the top chord and just main parts. So that's not really what we want. So what we can do is, let's go back out of this. We'll go back to the object presentation and let's change this. Let's see what choices we have. We can go back, not main parts, we want to go parts with model role. And then we can go, let's have a look for joists. So we have joists. So we have joists without top chord. But I want the top chord. So I'll just show you what happens here if I do this. Apply, use. So joist without top chord. So it's going to get rid of everything in the joist apart from the top chord. So it's not going to differentiate between main part and a single part. So it should bring back in the 2 top chords on each bar joist. There you see. And it's got the labels. So we can leave them there. Obviously we can turn off the labels. So what we want to do is, let's go back in. And we can see the joist, and the labeling is off for the joist, but the angle, it's coming in as an angle, so the main part is getting labeled here. So that's the main part of the joist getting labeled. Sorry. So you might wonder why the joist, your joist is turned off, but the joist is still coming in with this label here. That's because the top chord main part is getting labeled here using this one. So you can control that, but you'd have to add another one, but we're going to turn it off, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to click on this again. We're going to go in here. So we have joists without top chord. So what we're going to do is we can copy this. So we'll pick this one and then we'll go set and joist without top chord, and then we're going to do a new one and we're going to do a joist and we'll call it joist all. Joist all, and we'll just leave it at joist all. I was going to label it ADM at the end so I'd know it was mine, but it doesn't really matter. And now we can see what's in it. It's got bottom chords, diagonal, so we want to add top chord. So just click on this one and do add, and it will add a joist bottom chord. And click on this and joist top chord. And we don't need to do this, but I'd like to keep it up at the top because it's the top chord. Apply those changes. Now if we go back to our object presentation, we'll see joist all, which I just created. I want the presentation to be off and the labeling to be off. So let's use that, and these bar joists should disappear. So this should disappear and the labels should disappear with them. So there they go. So they're gone. So now we're getting to where we can use this as an erection drawing. We're getting close anyway. So as you can see, these elements here, it's not what we want. So what I'm going to do is, this is concrete, this is concrete, this is concrete. I'm going to turn off the concrete elements. So when I say concrete, sorry, they're solids that I use as concrete. So click on external objects, and this is all solids. So external objects all. So go back to object presentation, external objects all, and you maybe want to keep a record of what this says. As you can see, I did a deep copy once, and this is the mess that I was left with. and I'm in the process of trying to delete all these. So don't do a deep copy at the start, and we want to turn these off. Apply, use, and this should get rid of the concrete on the bottom and the walls on either side. Let's see if it updates. Okay, now we didn't really want to get rid of this over here because it's got rid of the ramp, which I would like to have in there. So what you can do instead, if you want, is you can go back and turn the concrete elements back on and just delete them. Now you have more control when you create your concrete elements with concrete or with plates, because you can also add model rolls, which will help you in here. So for now, I'm going to turn this back on. Let's go in here, and visible environment. We'll turn it back on to visible environment. Let me scroll past that. There it is. Apply, use. Alright, so I'm going to turn them on, and what I'm going to do is just delete those two walls. Now, like I say, we can see, I kind of want this ramping, or it'll look kind of silly. So what you can do is create these walls with concrete or with plates, and they'll be more easily accessible to turn on and off. So I'll just delete them manually for now. So then I guess we can see how these labels are controlled, and also these are erection marks for the direction the numbers are going to be on the beam. As you can see, the numbers should correspond to these. So you don't really need them. We don't use them here so much. We just like to have the numbers on the right ends of the beams. So what we can do is we want to control them. So what I'll do is I'll turn them off in 2 stages. Right now these are controlled inside the same drone style. So this one here and this one here, the one for the beam and the column, are the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into output, and we're going to get rid of those. So if we go to object presentation, those are both controlled by this main part beam. So what I want to do is I want to create a new one. So let's create a new one, and then when I go in here, I want to change this to no, I don't want to change this, sorry. I want to go back here. I want to change this to main part column. So now I have a column added. So let me go back in here, objects, you can see the column here at the bottom. Now it will never get to this point because the column is also a main part. So what I need to do is I need to put this one above this one, and it'll take these in order, and it'll get to the column one, and it'll use this one. Then it'll get to the main part, and it'll use every other main part. So now this is the exact same as this, so it'll do the same thing unless I'm going to change it. So this is show compass marks for beams in 3D views. Turn that off. Apply, use, and you can see it'll get rid of all these triangular marks on the columns, or at least it should. So there you go, they're all gone. So now that's controlling that. So now I know if I change these labels, so if I go back into my column and I go to my labels on my columns, so object presentation, I click on the column, go to the label, so place along the object, that means that it's the same direction. So you can see this is placed along the object. Same with the beams beams are at the same slope as the beams, and that's the way we want it. But you can change that. This also arranges the beams according to the compass, which is also what we want. But let's say you want to have these horizontal, just tick that box, apply, use, and it should just change the columns to the other way, which is not the way we want it. But it's just to show you how you can orientate your labels if you want to change them. So you see that's changed that. So alright, so I'm going to turn off the erection marks on the, what I'll do is I'll change this back and apply. You can come in here and put whatever tokens you want in your labels. That's pretty easy to do. Alignment will tell you whether it's sloped or not. So the labeling strategies are pretty simple. Just make sure again that you copy up here and you also copy down here. So anywhere you see this plus button, you need to make a new one. So this is basically a tree. This is the top, this is the next step down, then you did an object presentation, then we could do a labeling strategy, then we can do a label. This is the content of the label. So you've got quite a few choices already. So I've obviously created many of my own. So everyone's probably going to want to create their own. So we're going to go back. Let's go to the plate drawing, or sorry, the beams. So this is controlling all main parts. So let's change this to just beams, and it'll give me a little more control again. So what we could do is we can, we should copy again, and we'll keep that one, and then we'll change this one to main part beams, and then we'll move it up through the tree and we'll put it above main parts again. And then what we want to do is double click on this. We want to turn off the compass marks, apply, use, and these compass marks will disappear. And then we can just have it where the numbers are on the correct end of the beam for erection. We don't need to have this mark on the drawing. So you can see then that my labels for my columns have gone the right direction again, which is the way I want them. And there you kind of have something close to what you want out of the box. So you can see we have braces here. So what you can do is we can go back inside. So let's say we don't want the braces numbered and we don't want any of these parts over here numbered. What we can do is we can go back in. So all the elements that aren't beams. So let's see what's inside beams. This is beams all. And if we go inside, we can see it's beams with all model roles. So that would be the handrails, all that stuff. So what I might want to do is main parts, beam, parts with model role, main parts. See, this is without model role. So let's go to model role with model role, beam with model role, and this is the one you want. So it's just going to have beams, girders, rafter, model rolls. So mine are all beam, so it should turn the beam one. So that's good, I've applied that. So if we go back to our object presentation, we can see it's beam with model roll, and then main part beams. We can turn off this. So go to other, go off, apply, use. So the beams are controlled by the one with the beams. The one below with the main parts is controlling everything after that. So all of these other labels should disappear. You can see the columns are still here, but everything else has gone. Now I've also need to remove the compass marks, because you can see the compass marks are here for these, even though I've turned the labeling off because they're still visible. So let's go back in quickly, open it, go to our main parts, double click, turn the compasses off, apply, use. Okay. Sorry, I have a bit of sore throat. So I know this is kind of long-winded, but it's the easiest way to show you how you can just jump back in, jump out, change some things, and now on the fly, in a half hour, you've been able to figure out how to get your drawing style the way you want it. Now, maybe I don't want these labels down here. You can also control that. These are not columns, or these are also columns, so it's a little difficult unless I change the model role to something different, which is not a problem. You know, we could just call these model role posts instead, and then they would delete, or else you could just click on the 4 or 5 labels. That one is a good label, so you could just delete the labels that way, and now you've got pretty much what you want to have. One other step is this down here. We'll go back to the model. We can see that this is a plate, so this will show you how you can get control over the plates. So this plate, naming is concrete foundation. So I'm going to go back into my E10. Let's say I want to turn off this foundation. Go back into the drawing style. And remember, that's a plate now, it's not concrete. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to plates, and I'm going to copy that, and we're going to double click on that, and model objects, and I'm going to do parts with model role. So I'm going to use this as my start point. And you can see here, I've already done it. So what I would do is, you want to just click on this, and you want to create a new one. And then it'll be the same here. And then you just want to click on this, and you want to change this to the model role that you want, which is concrete foundation. And then you'll see if I go into my concrete foundation one, that's what I have. With model role, concrete foundation, that's what I have. Plates with model roles, concrete foundation. Apply, back to object presentation. You want to move this above all your other plates. So move it up here, even your main part, just to be sure. And visible, I don't want it visible, I want it turned off, so that will turn off my concrete foundation. Or at least should. So that's going to turn off the foundation right now. And then we'll be able to see our base connections if you want to see them. And then, now that you know how powerful it is, you can just go back in and turn it on if you want. And if you, let's say you output it this way and you go, well, I don't really want it to be this way anymore, then you can just go right in like this, click in the drawing style, and then change this to visible. And then the next time it'll be visible. So it's pretty easy, it's pretty powerful that way. One other thing you can do is, let's say you want to call out these plates on the bottom. So just to do it, I know I'm probably overdoing it here, but it'll just give you an idea. So what I'll do this time is I'll actually create a new label also. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a plate. It's not a main part, so let's pick this plate. And we're going to copy this. And then we're going to go inside into this. And we're going to go plate with model role. And it's a base plate. So there's your base plate. So you don't have to create it, it's already here. If you click on this, you'll see it's plates with model role base plates. Apply that. Go back to your object presentation. go to your base plate, bring that all the way up above your plates again. So you just think about it here. These two are plates. One is concrete foundation, one is the base plate. They're not going to affect each other because this one is specifically concrete foundation model roll and this one is specifically base plate, so it doesn't really matter. It's the ones that aren't as specific that kind of mess it up. You have to get above them. So the base plates are visible, which is what I want. So the label strat, it's visible. You can see here, down here, we want to do labeling rule set. So what I'm going to do is it's turned off. So let's do something different. We can do others. We can do commodity model roll. So what I'll do is I'll just pick model roll here and I'll create new and a copy of it. I'm going to call this material. Okay, or maybe we could have a coating, I guess. Material will do. So material. So now that's a new one I've created. Now down here we can see this is still model roll. So we need to go into label content and we want to create a new one. We're going to call this material also. Okay, now we can change this. We can go in here, delete this, and we want to change this to material. Material. So this is the token for material. Now select. Now you need to make sure you select everything when you want to change this size, because if I have a space in here, and then I come in here, and I change this to 1/16th. I click on this, I go, oh, that's great, that's 1/16th. But if I click over here, it's 1/8, and it gets controlled by that 1/8. So let's delete that space. So now you can still see at the end. No, it's gone now. So that should be 1/16th. Just be careful, there's no spaces, because that can mess you up a little bit. So leader line, yes. Do I want to put a frame on this? Let's put a frame on it just to make it look different. We can also change the color if you want. So let's make it green. And apply and use. And all these base plates should get a material label on them. Once I'm not doing something incorrect. So you can see it doesn't actually make the leader line green, it just makes the box and the text green. So that's that for this. I guess it's kind of gives you an idea. I probably went on a little too long with it, but what we can do now is we can go in and create assembly drawing. So let's pick. This is a slope beam, and the beams on the outside are level beams. So what we'll do is, let's come in here and let's go to our drawing process. And let's do assemblies and CC. Okay. Hi, sorry, I had to get a drink of water there. So I've created the assembly parts for these two beams. Now I really am kind of out of time. I probably have 5 or 10 minutes to touch on this, but maybe it's enough for today just to do the drawing style for this isometric. Now, as I say, the isometric is not the most important, but it'll show you how to control all your elements. It's the easiest way. I didn't get into dimensioning because that's a whole other can of worms. It's quite difficult. I don't fully understand it myself yet. So hopefully this was helpful, and maybe I'll follow up. We can just see if I open this. We'll just give you a teaser, I guess. show assembly detail. Maybe I'll do another video on these. So here's the assembly detail. You can see the labels off the page because I have the top view and the bottom view included. So you can see I've put in custom labels here for the top view and the bottom view because I have had some clients who don't know in third angle projection that the bottom view is below and the top view is above. Sometimes there's no top view and it's just a bottom view, and they just automatically assume it's a top view even though it's below, and if these clips were welded on, they would have them welded on the wrong side of the beam and it wouldn't work. So I have had this issue in the past. So maybe I'll do another short webinar on these. We'll just keep them separate for now. I was going to try and squeeze it in at the end, but there's a little bit involved. So look, I hope today was useful, and I hope people were able to get something from this. Maybe give me some feedback, good or bad, or maybe give me some advice on what I'm doing wrong.